On today's episode of Pure Screen Gems podcast, I give you my thoughts and spoiler-filled review of the long-awaited debut of Marvel Animation's X-Men 97, starting with episode 1 and 2. Well, hello and welcome to a special episode of Pure Screen Gems podcast, where I'll be reviewing the very first Marvel Animation series, X-Men 97, episode 1 and 2. Now, I've gotta say, this series is special for me because as a young adult, I watched this week in and week out when it came out back in 92. And I never missed an episode. So my fear was, is this going to be as good as it was 28, 30 years ago? Well, as soon as the theme song came on, my fears just evaporated. It just evaporated. I had no more fears. The animation style just got kicked up a notch. My smile widened. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The improvement in animation. And for those of you who've never seen it, can easily get back into it, or can get into it, I should say, no problem, because the backstory is explained in a brief way and also in a way that, oh, okay, this happened, so let's move on. Okay, good. And for those who love the series, you're gonna love everything that happens in these 2 episodes. Now, those of you who have not seen it yet, there will be spoilers in these reviews, so stop right here, put this in your watch later or listen to it later, go back, go watch To Me, My X-Men and Mutant Liberation Begins, then come back and listen to this review. Okay? So you've been warned. Okay, now. So first of all, as I said, as soon as the episode starts to episode 1, To Me, My X-Men, a year has passed since Professor X left. With sympathy for mutants growing in the wake of his perceived death, new changes include Bishop joining the team, and Jean Grey, is pregnant, along with the team being legally sanctioned. The X-Men save a young mutant, Roberto, from the Friends of Humanity, seeing that they were outfitted with Sentinel tech. The group probe Peter Gyrick's mind for the location of Bolivar Trask. Jean receives a horrifying premonition while doing so. So this leads them to a junkyard. Trask is rebuilding his Sentinel and aided by lobotomized master mold. The broken machines proves no match for the X-Men, of course. With Trask apprehended and given to the president for trial, Cyclops and Jean ponder leaving the team so that their son can be raised peacefully away from mutant hatred. The following day, Magneto reveals that Professor Xavier willed him control of the Institute, entrusting him with leading the X-Men. And so, this is how it ends, with a cliffhanger. Now, in the old series, many times they had 2, 3, 4 parts to a storyline, but several times it was like 2 parts. But this is different. So far, each episode has sort of a cliffhanger. So this is good. It keeps us wanting to come back to go see the next episode. I'm glad that this is not dropping all at once. And I caught quite a few Easter eggs in this episode, and I'll let you try and decipher them. I'll give you a hint. Try and look at the skyline at the beginning. Just okay. I loved the action scenes, especially with Gambit and Wolverine. There was a mix of 2D. It seems to me there was a mix of 2D, 3D animation that they had never done before in the original series. So you can see that they took the time and had the money to do it. And it had a more cinematic feel to the whole episode. And I really loved the relation between Jubilee and Roberto. Roberto LaCosta, aka Sunspot. This episode reminds me of the first episode in the original series where the X-Men rescues Jubilee from the Sentinels, but in this case, the X-Men rescues Roberto from not necessarily the Sentinels, but from the Friends of Humanity who have Sentinel tech, as I had stated before. So it's just the premise was familiar, which is what I like, but not too familiar. It worked back in the 90s. It's the kind of thing that still works today. So it's the thing that's nice in a nostalgic way for us as OG fans, but it's the kind of thing that would be good also for new fans. If it worked for us, it's going to work for new fans. That's pretty much it for the first episode. To me, my X-Men. So with that down, let's go on to episode 2. So episode 2 is Mutant Liberation Begins. So the way I would describe this is that Cyclops and Jean stay to keep an eye on Magneto. He sends mutants, including the Morlocks, to Genosha for protection, while detaining Friends of Humanity for arrest. The X-Men try adjusting with Bishop and Cyclops uneasy. Rogue sympathizes with Magneto's struggles. Magneto's exploits come full circle on him, and he comes to trial to be judged for his past terrorism. Now, there's an image there where it's exactly the same image I have of a comic book cover of Uncanny X-Men 200 with Magneto in chains. Executioner is sent to shoot a depowering radiation blast at Magneto, but Storm takes the hit for him. Magneto is granted a pardon for showing his intentions to carry out Xavier's will, though he warns the patients, or not the patient, I should say his patients, is limited. In the meantime, Jean goes into labor and Rogue is forced to absorb an obstetrician's knowledge when he refuses to deliver a mutant's baby because he said that, what if you lose control of your powers? Storm leaves the team while they are surprised by the arrival of a Jean doppelganger, and that's how it ends. Okay, if Jean is with if Jean is with Cyclops, Who's that at the door? Oh my God. Now, I'm thinking Madeline, for those who know your comic books. Other than that, it was a very action-packed show. I didn't read the Executioner's song storyline. It was one of those summer-long storylines. I had stopped reading comics at that point, but I know it's very famous. At some point I will, because I read comic books online right now, digitally. But enough of that. I'm very impressed with what I've seen so far, and there are 10 episodes altogether. And again, this series is special for me in more ways than one. Not only because it's part of my youth, also most of these voice actors are Canadian. So, yay Canada, come on. So I'm very happy with what I've seen, and I think Marvel Animation has got a winner. Now, the only complaint I would have is that they missed the mark on one thing. Why would they put this on Wednesday and not drop it on a Saturday? You want to bring back Saturday morning cartoons? Drop this on a Saturday. That would be so ideal. Personally, it's okay with me. But I'm sure a lot of people are saying with all the posters that they dropped and the way it shows, it's almost like, why didn't you drop it on a Saturday? It would have been so cool. Anyways, that's just me. It doesn't change the quality of the show. It doesn't change the quality of the animation. It doesn't change anything really. It would just change the day. But it would just be the cherry on top, if you will. For now, that's all. And I'll be back with another review of episode 3 next week. So for now, have an excellent day.